Fred MacMurray was born Frederick Martin MacMurray on August 30th, 1908 in Kankakee, Illinois, and his early life was shaped by discipline, music, and quiet ambition. His father was a concert violinist, and that influence left a lasting impression on Fred, who grew up surrounded by structure and sound rather than Hollywood chaos. After his family settled in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, MacMurray attended Carroll College, where he focused on music and mastered several instruments, including the saxophone and violin. Before acting ever entered the picture, he earned money as a working musician, even performing with the respected Gus Arnheim Orchestra during the early 1930s. These years instilled habits that defined him for life: punctuality, preparation, and respect for craft. Long before audiences saw him as a genial screen presence, MacMurray had already developed a serious, workmanlike approach that would later shape both his career and his personal relationships. From musician to reliable Hollywood star, MacMurray's path into Hollywood was gradual and practical rather than glamorous. His good looks initially led him into modeling, which soon opened doors to acting opportunities. His breakthrough arrived in 1935 with The Gilded Lily, opposite Claudette Colbert, a success that quickly established him as a dependable leading man. Paramount Pictures recognized his appeal and cast him frequently as the polite, clean-cut gentleman audiences trusted. Yet beneath that image was an actor with surprising range. MacMurray moved comfortably between romantic comedies, dramas, and eventually darker material. What made him stand out was not flamboyance, but consistency. Directors valued his ability to arrive prepared, hit his marks, and deliver performances without drama. While some stars relied on temperament or mystique, MacMurray relied on discipline. This reputation made him one of the studio system's most reliable assets, and set him apart in an industry often defined by unpredictability and ego. Challenging his image with darker roles. Although audiences loved MacMurray's wholesome charm, he never allowed himself to be trapped by it. His performance in Billy Wilder's Double Indemnity in 1944 marked a turning point. Playing the morally compromised Walter Neff, MacMurray revealed a capacity for darkness that surprised critics and viewers alike. The role demanded subtlety rather than likability, and MacMurray delivered with restraint and intelligence. Later films such as The Caine Mutiny continued this pattern, allowing him to explore characters shaped by fear, ambition, and moral ambiguity. These performances proved that his clean-cut image was a choice, not a limitation. Off-screen, however, MacMurray remained unchanged. He approached even the most complex roles with the same professionalism he brought to lighter fare. That consistency strengthened his standing in Hollywood and reinforced his belief that acting was a craft, not a platform for indulgence or disorder. Family life and personal stability. While his career flourished, MacMurray's personal life was grounded in commitment rather than spectacle. His first marriage to Lillian "Lily" Lamont in 1936 was marked by loyalty and privacy. Together, they adopted twin daughters, building a family life deliberately kept away from Hollywood excess. Lily's death from cancer in 1953 deeply affected MacMurray, who withdrew from public attention to grieve. A year later, he married actress June Haver, beginning a partnership that would last nearly 4 decades. Their marriage was widely admired for its stability and mutual respect. June embraced family life fully, and together they adopted 2 more children. They lived quietly, dividing time between their Brentwood home and a walnut farm in Sonoma County. For McMurray, family offered refuge from the industry, reinforcing values of responsibility, order, and calm that guided every aspect of his life. My Three Sons and a New Kind of Stardom. In 1960, McMurray entered a new phase of his career with My Three Sons, portraying widowed father Steve Douglas. The role cemented his image as a dependable, reassuring presence for American families. The show ran for 12 seasons and became one of television's most enduring sitcoms. Behind the scenes, McMurray helped pioneer an innovative production model. To balance film work with television, he filmed all his scenes for each season in concentrated blocks, a method requiring strict coordination and discipline. The system worked because McMurray demanded efficiency and cooperation. He valued smooth production and mutual respect, believing that a well-run set was essential to good storytelling. This approach earned him admiration from producers, but also meant that any disruption threatened the entire structure. As a result, compatibility off-camera mattered to him almost as much as performance on screen. A clash of working styles. Despite his generally calm demeanor, McMurray was not immune to friction, particularly when professionalism was compromised. His most notable tension arose with co-star William Frawley, who played Bub O'Casey during the early seasons of My Three Sons. Frawley, a seasoned performer with vaudeville roots, had a more unpredictable working style. His gruff manner, frequent complaints, and struggles with preparation conflicted sharply with McMurray's disciplined approach. The contrast was not personal, so much as philosophical. McMurray valued order, punctuality, and focus, while Frawley relied more heavily on instinct and habit. Over time, the mismatch created strain on a set that depended on precision. McMurray avoided confrontation, but his discomfort was evident. The tension highlighted how deeply he cared about maintaining a professional environment and how little tolerance he had for behavior that disrupted the collective effort. A quiet resolution and restored balance. When Frawley eventually left the series after several seasons, replaced by William Demarest, the atmosphere on set noticeably improved. Demarest, though eccentric in his own way, aligned more closely with McMurray's expectations of reliability and cooperation. The change reinforced how much McMurray valued harmony behind the scenes, even if it meant difficult adjustments. He never publicly criticized Frawley and avoided fueling gossip, staying true to his private nature. For those who knew him well, however, the situation was revealing. McMurray rarely allowed himself strong personal judgments, so when incompatibility reached that level, it was significant. The episode underscored a central truth about him. His standards were non-negotiable. Respect for the craft and for colleagues mattered deeply, and when those values were challenged, even his famously even temperament could grow firm and unyielding. A shrewd mind, beyond acting, beyond his work as an actor, McMurray was known as one of Hollywood's most financially astute figures. While many peers lived extravagantly, he practiced careful spending and long-term planning. He invested heavily in real estate, building a portfolio that made him one of the wealthiest actors of his era. Colleagues often joked about his thrift, but McMurray embraced the reputation with quiet pride. To him, financial discipline mirrored professional discipline. He believed security came from preparation, not excess. This mindset allowed him to retire comfortably and support his family without anxiety. His business sense reflected the same principles that guided his acting career: patience, consistency, and foresight. McMurray's wealth was never flashy, but it was enduring, reinforcing his belief that success meant stability rather than spectacle. Health battles faced with resolve. In later life, McMurray faced serious health challenges that tested his resilience. A lifelong smoker, he was diagnosed with throat cancer in the late 1970s and endured treatment with determination. Though the cancer returned years later, he continued to face illness privately, avoiding public attention. In 1988, a severe stroke left him partially paralyzed and affected his speech, a devastating blow for an actor. Yet McMurray approached recovery with the same discipline that had defined his life. Through extensive therapy, he regained much of his mobility and speech, demonstrating remarkable perseverance. Unknown to many, he was also quietly managing leukemia during his final years. Despite these hardships, he maintained dignity and composure, focusing on family and recovery rather than public sympathy. His strength during this period reflected the quiet resolve that had always guided him, a legacy of quiet integrity. Fred McMurray passed away on November 5, 1991, at the age of 83, leaving behind a legacy built on consistency, integrity, and restraint. While he played both heroes and deeply flawed characters, his real-life values remained steady. The rare professional conflict he experienced was not rooted in malice, but in principle. McMurray believed that respect, preparation, and reliability were essential to meaningful work. Those beliefs shaped his career, his relationships, and his reputation. He was never drawn to controversy, yet his standards were clear and unwavering. In an industry often remembered for excess and volatility, McMurray stood apart as a model of quiet professionalism. His story is not one of loud rivalries, but of values tested and upheld. That restraint, more than any single role, defines the enduring memory he left behind.